Okay, there we go. So, welcome. I don't know why I was allowed to record with it muted, but we'll try it again. So, regarding the new glasses, it's something I'm trying out. So I'll let you know once I've tried it sufficiently to be able to let you know how successful it was. So this is our Relax into Health, Wealth, and Happiness meeting. So today, I'd like to start with this expression, which you probably are familiar with. It's a fairly common expression, which is that a journey of 10,000 miles begins with a single step. So you probably know that. And as far as it goes, it's true. However, I think we could improve upon that. And so we want to think about some things. So, we're on a journey. This life is occurring within time, or we could say within time, this life experience, this lifetime, this human existence. And so there's a journey taking place. And, it's an interesting point. I don't want to get too far off track, but there is, I don't remember which of the Upanishads it is. I'm not a Upanishad scholar, but there is one in which there's a description given of the human being as in terms of a chariot. And so it's described that there's the charioteer, there's the chariot itself, and there's the charioteer, and there are the horses and the reins. And so, it's like five horses probably to represent the senses, and the five reins, which are representing. So in Vedic thought, the senses consist of outward going as well as the you could say inner sense, and they're obviously connected. So in order, for example, if you're sighted, you have vision. So you see what you perceive as an objective reality out there, quote unquote. But in order to have that, there has to be this basic function of sight, which is not reliant upon or dependent upon the objective seeing, right? So you can be sighted and know that you're sighted even without seeing something outside. And or you have vision, you have capacity for seeing, and you know that even when your eyes are closed and you're not seeing something out there. So, there's all that. And the charioteer, I don't know, I don't remember what the charioteer represents. I mean, you could say the charioteer is like the mind, maybe. And then the chariot itself is like the body. But there's an important point there that's being made in this Upanishad, is that there's also the one whose chariot it is, who is being, who is on this journey within the chariot. So the experience is taking place through the vehicle, and that vehicle has a driver, and it has the reins, and it has the horses, and so forth. But in all of that, we can lose sight of the fact that this is my chariot. I am the one who is being escorted around on this journey. And so, we can confuse ourselves with the senses, or with the mind, or with the body. But so that's an important point. Just to clarify that when I say we're on a journey, I'm not saying that you're defined by or limited by the journey, but I am acknowledging just sort of what's staring us plainly in the face, which is that there's a journey taking place. And So this journey, this journey of 10,000 miles, beginning with a single step, this good, it's very specific. That's addressing a very specific circumstance where you want to remember that. It's like you're experiencing overwhelm, you're having trouble getting started. You remember a journey of 10,000 miles begins with a single step, and you say, oh yes, I just take one step at a time, so I'm not critiquing that I'm not critiquing the statement, but I am saying that out of that limited context, we can get a little bit more clarity around this. So I'm on a journey, and this is useful advice to remember. If I'm overwhelmed, okay, I just need to take a step. But hold on a second. Don't I need to know some other things? Like, wouldn't it be wise to know, for example, where am I going? And where am I? Right? Because it's true that from where I am, all I need to do is take a step in order to move in some direction. But I could move in any direction. How do I know which direction I want to move in? I can't move in all the directions at the same time. I can only move in one direction at one time. And so if I don't have that clarity, then, and many of us have experienced this, it's like you feel stuck. Because why? Well, without the clarity, you don't know why. You think it's all kinds of other reasons. It's circumstance, it's people, it's events, it's whatever that's preventing you from experiencing greater happiness or whatever it is that you want. But actually, what's preventing you is that you're failing to make a clear choice. You're just not committing because you can always move. You can always take a step, but you don't know which step to take. You don't know which direction to go. So when you feel overwhelmed or stuck, it's just a good indication that you don't have clarity on some basic things that are going to really help you. So we want to get clear on those things. So, one of those is obviously, which direction do I want to go? What's my destination? What's my goal? Because if I want to go, if I say, okay, I'm going on vacation, I've got 2 weeks off work. All right, I'm going on vacation. Where am I going? I want to know that, because I really ideally want to know that in advance of the 2 weeks, so that I could even, make some plans and be prepared, so that, right from the start, I can be enjoying my vacation rather than figuring out where I'm going to go. So then, but then I might say, oh, I want to go to the south of France, and oh, I want to go to Iceland. I hear it's great this time of year, and oh, I want to go to Patagonia, and oh, I want to whatever. You've got all these different things, like, oh, they all sound so nice, but you can't go to all of them at the same time. You have to choose one. So you have to, whatever your criteria are to determine which one you want to do first, that's what you have to get clear on that. Otherwise, you can't move, because you've got to choose a direction. So journey of 10,000 steps begins with a single step. I would say, hold on, let's pull that back. Before we even take the first step, we need to know where we're going, right? Because, let me come back a moment, because if we go on, we could say, oh, well, and this is valid, and I've done it. It's the fly by the seat of your pants. It's, it's all the will of God anyway. So, let it all, I'm letting it ride, whatever. And that's fine. It's valid. It's also not necessarily the most efficient way to achieve what you're wanting to do, right? So that's fine if you want to. You say, you know what, I've got 2 weeks off, and I'm just going to let God do it for me. Great, that's fantastic. But here's the thing: if you actually really, 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 really want to go to Patagonia, I don't know, whatever, maybe, then go to Patagonia. Get clear on that, because you're going to end up there eventually if you really, 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 really want to go there. And You could take the roundabout way, which is fine, no problem. But maybe you also really, 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 really want to go somewhere else. So then you want to take, like, maybe you just go direct. You got 2 weeks. Maybe you're not even going to get to Patagonia if you just say, hey, I'm just going to go with whatever happens. Maybe you don't even leave your house, much less make it all the way to Patagonia. Or you could be clear about where you want to go. I want to go to Patagonia, and you book the flight and the hotel, and there you are. I'm not advocating for going to Patagonia. I've never been. I'm very happy where I am. I don't like traveling at this point in my life, but it's just an example. So we need to know where we're going. I'm belaboring the point, but for a good reason, because this is the first step that we repeatedly skip over, much to our own demise, to be honest. And we say, well, I can't, it's too hard. I don't know what I really want. Hold on. I got you covered. Because wait a second. In order to know what you really want, see, I thought a moment ago, I was suggesting we pulled it back from the first step being just taking a step. And now we're saying, wait a second, before you even take the first step, you got to take a step before that, which is figure out where you want to go. And that's like, okay, but that's too big of a step. How do I do that from where I am, where I just feel stuck and frustrated and hopeless, and I've tried everything and nothing works? How do I get from here to even figuring that out? That seems too much. Okay, great. So we need to pull it back even one more step, which is, who are you? Because when you have clarity of who you are, then the rest of it's actually pretty easy, right? Life is presenting us moment to moment with choice after choice after choice after choice. It's just like, hey, you said you want this. Here it is. What do you think? And you got to choose. You got to give some feedback. You got to say, I'm really liking this. This is great. Here, let's make these minor little adjustments. Here's where we're going next. Let's just sort of steer the boat a little bit. Or you say, whoa, hold on a second. I really screwed up. I made a mistake. That's not what I want. I know I said that's what I want. Or maybe you say, I don't even know that I said that I wanted that, but let me look and see, how did I say that? Because you did. And I know that can be very challenging to accept. You know, I have often said, waking up does not necessarily mean it's going to be all rainbows and roses. It kind of really depends what you're waking up to. You might wake up to rainbows and roses. For some people, that's the experience. But if you think that waking up requires that you wake up to rainbows and roses, you might be waiting a long time to wake up. And if you take a long time to wake up because you're unwilling to accept anything other than rainbows and roses, then it's going to be that much longer before rainbows and roses. Because if you're not, if you don't know who you are, in other words, where you are, if you don't know who you are is kind of where you are. Okay, so if you don't know who you are or where you are, you don't know how to get to where you want. You can't take the steps because you're in denial about who you are or what you are, or you're just in ignorance of it. So you don't even know how to begin your journey because you don't know where you are relative to what you desire. So we need to know, who am I? Okay, so who am I? You might say, gosh, that also sounds like too big of a first step, because I just have too much confusion and overwhelm and whatever. And I've tried everything and it doesn't work, and yada, yada, yada. We've got all the reasons. Well, look, if something doesn't work, notice oftentimes we do this game. We say, but it didn't work. It's the sour grapes, basically. It's like, it didn't work, therefore it just must not be good. And I think we get away with that because, well, because unfortunately, because that is, we're declaring what we want. You see, when we say, actually, I don't really want that because it's no good. I don't really want, I thought I wanted that, but it turns out I don't want that because, that would be too something or other, that would be too objectionable in some way, too unpleasant, too difficult, too unreasonable, too, exposed, too vulnerable. Like people, what are people going to think? How many, how much do you hold back because of what other people are going to think? So we make all those excuses, and those excuses are, particularly when repeated, it's like a single thought is nothing. You don't have to be fearful of a single thought. You only have to be fearful of the single thought that you refuse to acknowledge and to just simply allow to dissolve into grace. Because those thoughts that you refuse, those thoughts are the ones that are repeating, but you've said, no, I don't want to hear it. So it's getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And your reality that you perceive is revealing to you exactly what your beliefs are, because they're one and the same. And so that's the unfortunate downside, is that when we play that game and we say, it's our grapes game, and we say, it's not, they're all liars. It's all a bunch of scams, and nobody knows anything, and it's all, then you see evidence of that. And the world becomes bleaker and more awful, because it just continues to be self-reinforcing. Because, okay, so we can play that game, but I'm suggesting don't play that game. Instead, what I propose is this: those things didn't work. Those things didn't work because you didn't have the prerequisites for those things. So, like, whatever those things are, like, you think about how many, it's so easy, unfortunately, to be cynical. And we can think, all the religious people are a bunch of nutters. What's wrong with them? They're all insane, crazy. And we can say, and all the, positive thinking people, also nutters. You get the theme here, what, like, fill in the blank, they're just dismissible because there's something wrong with them. There's something just wrong with those people. How can they be so delusional? Look at them with all those fake smiles on their faces. At least I'm real, because I've got a real authentic scowl, but all their smiles are fake. And again, the more we repeat that, consciously or unconsciously, the more that shapes our perception, so that we see it and it becomes real for us. And you've got evidence for it, as do I. We've got plenty of evidence for how all the wrongdoing in the world, and all the perpetrators of the wrongdoing, and all of our critiques of those people and what they did wrong and how they did it wrong and how we wouldn't want to be like them. And you can find examples of that in any group, like, there's no group that gets to escape that. So you can criticize even Buddhists. It's like, it's not, because they're like there was something where the Buddhist was the Buddhist or the Hindus. I don't remember. Somebody who was otherwise impeccable. And then they're like, this was a number, like 10, 15 years ago. It was like they were involved in some kind of genocide. And it's like, oh man, even them. There's no good people out there. You got to have something negative about every group. And unfortunately, who's hurt by that? Only you, because it's poison that you're drinking when you do that, but you don't know it. All of this comes down to, though, fundamentally not knowing who you are. So what this means is you just, like I say, you didn't have the prerequisites for those things. So they, of course, they weren't going to work. It's like if you went into some kind of advanced astrophysics class, or, professional organization, and you can't, you're like, a 2-year-old. No, it's not going to work. And you could say, all that astrophysics is a bunch of mumbo jumbo, hoodoo voodoo. And all those people are a bunch of scammers. And plus, I know the dirty laundry of a bunch of those people, and it ain't pretty. So it's just bad news, that whole astrophysics thing. But it wasn't appropriate for you at that time because you didn't have the prerequisites. So the same here, all of those things, you'll find that so many of the things that you've learned that you were attracted to in the past, they have value for you. But you haven't been able to access that full value because of the lack of clarity. That's all. You just, like, unfortunately, and I say it's unfortunate, but let me also preface this by saying, and I've said this maybe recently, and I don't remember if it was in this group or not, but I'll say it now again, that to have a human birth, it tells us something, okay? Like, it's not by chance to be born human. It's by virtue of your desire. Your desire is to be human, and to be human is something that is unique. You can't, it's exclusively human to be human. You can't have the experience of being human and be something else. Notice there's a theme there, right? Like, you already chose this. And this is, this is in alignment with what you really want, because this is to be born human, it means that this desire has evolved, developed. You've been tested, because the humans have some pretty remarkable power. It's a very unique opportunity, and so you're successful. That's what I'm getting at. Is just to even the human life that we would judge to be the most despicable is still, that life was still an enormous success, not as a human. I mean, as a human, it was a terrible go at it, but in terms of the manifestation of your desire, the development of the clarity of that desire, it's a huge success, because you got clear. You have to be very clear to want to take a human life, because it ain't easy. We have self-awareness in a way that many other, it's highly developed, let's just say, very highly developed in humans. Whether it's the most highly developed in humans, I don't know. But it's definitely very highly developed among species on this planet. So, you have this incredible power that is, it's a sword that cuts both ways, this self-awareness. Because if you don't have this self-awareness, then you're there's a nature has a kind of there's a principle in nature, and you can see it playing out in many levels of providing protection. So protection, this is why, it's very protective. Nature is very protective. You can see how, like the earth has an atmosphere. right? That is very protective. That atmosphere it's so protective, it insulates. In outside of the Earth's atmosphere, the cosmic radiation levels or ionizing radiation is very, very high levels. It's dangerous. You can't survive. I mean, other reasons you can't survive out of the atmosphere, like there's no air and humans need air and yada, yada, yada. But big problem also is the cosmic radiation. And so humans are very sensitive to ionizing radiation. You can't handle very much. And cosmic radiation, I think it's the number one exposure of ionizing radiation. People who are work professionally or otherwise spend a lot of time at high elevations in like airplanes have much higher exposure to cosmic radiation than the normal population. So it's a serious thing, but the atmosphere protects us from that. So it's very protective. If you don't have self-awareness, you'll be protected. You will not know what you don't know, and you'll still be affected by it, but that effect will be buffered. It will be insulated. But the cost of that is that you will be a victim. As far as you know, all that's available to you is victimhood. You're protected, but you have no agency. It's like, you're protected from cosmic radiation living on the Earth, but then, you can't just hop over to Mars. So there's a limitation produced by that. So self-awareness, it comes with a cost, which is now we're aware and more exposed to everything that we had previously been buffered from. And so when that goes through our normal filtering, what do? We freak out because we say, little me, victim me, I don't know all of this stuff. I'm so sensitive. I can't handle it. I can't handle the feelings. I can't handle the hardness, and I'm kind of poking fun, but I experience it. So I empathize, I guess. I understand. I'm not suggesting that it's a totally trivial thing. It's an enormous thing, actually. But that's why it's for those who have the courage that comes from, because there's a boldness, there's a fearlessness, and a determination that comes from knowing who you are. So you can't handle it if you don't have the clarity of who you are. Without the clarity, it's like you say, I'm going to lose weight for my New Year's resolution. Give me a break. You're not gonna do anything. I mean, we all know that because it's not like, that's not going to work. That just doesn't work. In order for that to happen, if that's a goal, I'm not necessarily an advocate of losing weight per se, but I'm just saying that as a common kind of example of a goal that somebody sets for themselves. But instead of that, what needs to happen is there has to be a clear, positive goal. Goal, I guess, is the vision. Because let's say goal, vision, and we'll hopefully get to how to work effectively with a goal in a way that won't bind you to the outcome, in a way that will allow you to navigate successfully and skillfully. But nonetheless, yes, you have to have a vision of what you want. And that vision of what you want is for it to be truly successful, because it has to be something that is where there's what we would call intrinsic motivation, I think is the term that's commonly used. But the notion here is just that it has to be something that's true for you, that is your identity. It has to be in alignment with your values. So obviously, if somebody perceives that they're overweight, then that person, their identity is not the identity that would result in naturally in the behaviors and conditions that would allow them to feel healthy and good and strong and etc., so that they wouldn't have that kind of negative obsession with their weight. But you see, the vision has to be for something that's true. It's like a person could have bad habits and bad behaviors that are born out of a lack of clarity. So they're just sort of drifting. And then along with that comes the weight of just taking on stuff that they don't have clarity about. It's like, I don't know, who am I? Is this the kind of thing that I do? Maybe, yeah. Am I the sort of person who doesn't really have any purpose? Yeah, maybe. So then I guess I'm the sort of person who just is aimless and he just sits around and, whatever. So of course that's going to facilitate habits that will produce the outcome that is presently occurring for that person. But just saying I want to lose weight, all the research I'm familiar with shows that just doesn't work. You can't do that. It will not work because you're going against the existing conditioning. That existing conditioning isn't going to budge just because you say it's New Year's, get off your ass and go exercise and don't eat so many donuts. It's like, are you kidding me? That's who we are. That's what we do. You're gonna New Year's, Schmoo Year's. It's not going to happen, buddy. So the vision has to be there, and that vision has to be in alignment with who you really are, or it won't work either. Because you can be, and be like, okay, I got a positive vision. I'm like super fit and healthy. I'm like, I'm very muscular and defined and whatever. And whatever, you got some specific details of what that looks like that are not actually true for you because those aren't really your values, but you just kind of borrowed it because that's the cultural image that's what health is. Oh, so let's pull it back, you see, because if that's the key is if you're focused just on that, where does that vision of I just want the physique and whatever, then that's just borrowed from the culture. Where do you think 99% of your conditioning came from? The culture. So when you're borrowing that from the culture, what's it going to do? Reinforce the culture that's already conditioned to you. So that vision can't come from something that's borrowed. Can't come from what you saw on TV or you saw in a magazine or what you saw on Facebook or what your parents believed or what your sister believes or what your neighbors believe or any of that. It can't come from that because if it comes from that, it's not sustainable. So it won't work. And that's good news because if it did work, you wouldn't be happy with it because it's not true for you. Can you imagine? I mean, if it's not true for you, then can you try to imagine being that person in that with that quote unquote perfect physique? You kidding me? That would be awful if that's not true for you. If it's true for you, then it would be so wonderful, right? Because it's not about having the physique. It's about what it is. It's about the actions that are involved, the habits are the habits that perfectly match or most perfectly match what's true for you, which is to say who you are. So for the person who that physique is true for, that person, what's true for them is they love lifting heavy weights. They love it. It's like heaven for them. So, we just have to be clear. So journey of 10,000 steps begins with a single step, but before that is that we need to know where we're going. And even before that, we have to know, who am I? But who am I consists of, see that, because that seems like too much. That is too big of a bite. So we need to even break that down into smaller steps. So who am I? Because that's too big. That's like, when think about this. So Ramana's teaching, who am I, is who it is an incredible gift, and it's an incredible teaching and technology. Okay, because you can use this technique and it will give you this essential clarity. But think about this. The people who, you have to consider Ramana's, the delivery of that message in the context of the time and place. So that time and place, the people who could get to Ramana were, and who would stick around to receive the teaching, those are some pretty special people. That's not just any ordinary person. That's a very special person. That's a person who's they've already done the work to get clear enough on who they are to know, like, a lot of that's cleared out for them. They're like, I definitely know that who I am is a person who is so serious about knowing who I am that I will go to Ramana Maharshi. Even if that means like extreme measures, even if that means giving up my life, like some of these people, they were going, it was not a casual thing. So, and some of them, Ramana had to send them away. They're like, can't we just stay? Can't we just stay with you forever? And he's like, no. You have a family. You have to go back. So very special people. And I'm not saying you're not special and I'm not special. We're very special in our own ways, but not in that way. So this message, Ramana's message, I believe we need to even get more detailed on that. So first and foremost, to know, I say, let's take it all, in order to do it effectively. I believe we want to start from the beginning, which we could have done from the start, I guess, but I thought it worked. It's a more dramatic presentation this way, maybe more effective as teaching aid. So first step is we need to know in the absolute sense, in the supreme sense, at the most essential, who am I? So we want to notice that who I am is that which is always here, right? I mean, this is just logically so. You know that you are always here. You might have doubts and thoughts and judgments, and because you think you think that you know what it is to be here, but you forget what you think. Just notice that you're here and notice that you're not doing anything to be here. Like, you're not doing the being. You can do just about anything else because humans are really, really powerful, but you can't do being. being is simply a given. And so everything else is coming and going, everything else. But you know that you're always here. It's not, you're not a different you than another you. It's not like, was it a different you 5 seconds ago and a different you now? On some level, we see, yeah, well, I guess there's something, yeah, I'm different, you know, body's changing, thoughts are changing, emotions are changing, energy levels are changing, all of these different things are changing. So I guess in some sense, I'm a different person. Yeah, yes, but we're getting ahead of ourselves, see? First, we want to get clear on in the most essential sense. So I'm not denying that you're all of those things too. You're all that's changing. Yes, I agree with you. But that you don't depend upon that. See, all of that is you, but it's not the most essential you, because all of that comes and goes, by virtue of the fact that it comes and goes, proves that you don't depend upon it. See, the you that was here 5 seconds ago that's no longer here because now this you is here, clearly you don't depend upon that because it's gone and here you are. But then you also don't depend upon the you that's here now that won't be here 5 seconds from now. But there's something about you, which is the essential you, that's here continuously, independent of time, you see? It's not like it's stretched out in time. No, time exists in you, in the essential you, because all time is appearing in you. Who's aware of time? You are. Who's aware of all form? You are. Who's aware of every thought? You are. Who's aware of every experience? You are. And you say, well, I'm not so sure I'm aware of every experience because sometimes it seems like I'm not so aware. Well, wait a second. But you are aware, because in order to notice that you're, aware or not, quote unquote, you have to be aware. If awareness was off, how could you become aware that you were not aware? Because awareness is off, you can't become aware. It's like, on what would it register on? Because there's nothing on, except that there is, and you are that. This is the most essential you. This is the most essential truth. This is a supreme reality, just to know I am. And prior even to I am, because the language is, funny, we don't have a way of describing it, but this is, we could say who you are is both the awareness that I am, and that awareness that is prior even. So it's both. So we could even break it down even more and say most essential is pure formless awareness, not even individuated. Okay, so there's no sense of even being something or someone, or any sense of anything at all, because pure formless awareness, this is the ground on which everything appears and disappears. So this is the most essential reality of who you are. And you know this is so because you're aware. You can doubt it, and you will doubt it, and you'll have, whatever, throw tantrums over it and scratch your head and pull out your hair. I hope not, but you might do all those things, but it doesn't matter, because all those things are happening in formless awareness, and you are already that. And it doesn't matter whether you agree with it or disagree with it. It's just plainly obvious, because if you're disagreeing or agreeing, that agreement or disagreement is occurring in awareness. In awareness makes it all sound like something that's hard, that's more complicated than it really is. It's not that complicated. It's just simply the obvious fact that you're aware. And then right there near that, intimately one with that primary essential reality, or that primary essential recognition that I am formless awareness, there's also this sense of being individuated, but individuated not among many, but just simply to be, to exist. I am. And so these are like, the in Indian thought, Vedantic thought, tantric thought, um, probably in Taoist thought. I don't know that much about Taoist philosophy. Buddhism, not so much. Buddhism is very, very focused on awareness, formless awareness. But in these other philosophies, they recognize and they describe this kind of dual, two sides of the coin. This two in one. They're not separate, but they're two in one. They all acknowledge that, and that's, you can't separate this. You can't have, you are formless awareness and you are individuated. And so these are the first two steps: to recognize, just before anything else, just to notice I am. Oh, but to notice that you're aware. And then to also notice that you are, right? So that you are, silent, and your silence and sound. You're, you're the formless and the form, and not separate. So this is easy. It's really very easy. It's true for everybody. So you can't, it's actually impossible for it not to be, it's impossible that it would not be present, because it's what it's who you are. So the fact that you're aware right now, which you are, it's simply that, just noticing that. It's so easy for us to overlook it and dismiss it and say, yeah, what does that do for me? Yes, because this next piece, which is that also who I am, and this is why there's, in many times, there's this big gap between pure materialism and spirituality, because we don't know how to bring them together. The solution is applied spirituality. So to be spiritual doesn't mean you have to be religious. It doesn't mean you have to believe in a certain mythology. It doesn't mean you have to any other things, but it also doesn't mean that those things could, you can be very religious. You can and be spiritual. You can be, believe in a particular mythology and be very spiritual, but it's not a requirement that you are religious or spirit or have a particular belief system. It's just, to be spiritual is your nature. So to be spiritual, it means to be of spirit. So what is spirit? It's just another way of saying that what we're describing here, to notice that there is this formless awareness, and arising in this formless awareness is this individuation. There is a movement, there is an activity, there is an aliveness. And there is a desire. There's a desire. So how do we know there's a desire? Well, we experience it. So this, presently, this experience is occurring, right? And this experience is, there are aspects of the experience that you like and aspects that you don't like. That feedback is showing you who you are expressed. And what does that mean? It means that it's you as a spiritual being. Okay, I mean, I hope that doesn't sound too weird and wacko, but I mean, it's just a way of trying to describe something. You don't have to take that on as some new belief and think, oh, maybe I'm like a misty ghost or something. No, it's just like, just to recognize that's pointing to something in your experience, that this term spiritual being is just referring to what you are, that's not the body, that's not the mind, that the body and mind arise in. The body and mind are actually downstream from who you are as a spiritual being. So this spiritual being is what has this dual nature, as I described, right? The spiritual being is formless awareness, and it is this dynamic expression of individuated being. And so but then I'm saying this spiritual being has desire. And you can know this desire because when this experience is occurring, you're getting feedback based on what you like and don't like. And that feedback is just there to get your attention, asking you to make choices. Why? Because it's your creation and it's just asking for feedback. It's like, do you like it? You know, anything you'd like different? But if we don't bridge this gap between the spiritual and the material, then we lose out. We don't know what we're doing or how to do any better. So we have to know first, however, because I would say primarily, but just in general, but a big influence is on why we need to really start with knowing who I am, apart from it just being logical, is that this world has a materialist bias, a very strong one. And so most of us have been inculcated with that. And we have to wake up from that, and we have to actually do the work, as it were. Sorry, that's like a bad word, but we have to do the work and apply ourselves in order to recognize who we are at a more fundamental level, because we have to pull ourselves back from that investment at the material level, because otherwise we have no choice. We're in that state. We are in that buffered state. We're ignorant, because that's what the cost is. If we don't have that level of self-awareness, we are ignorant, and we have to have that buffer, which tends to keep us ignorant. So we have to do something that we can call work. We just have to choose consistently and apply ourselves to get clarity on who I am more fundamentally, my essential spiritual nature. Then we need to, and hopefully by now this is all starting to make sense and ring a bell, is this what I'm describing here is the 3-step inquiry, okay? Because it's very powerful. It helps us bridge the gap in a successful way. It takes us to who am I and where am I? Okay, so who am I at a most fundamental level, to recognize that I am a spiritual being, okay? To have the direct recognition of it. It's not hard, but we have to open to that. You just have to, that's why I've said, open to the lightness of being. Can you just feel that? Can you just release a little bit of the heaviness, drop the load a little bit, just breathe a little easier and feel that lightness of being that points you in the right direction, so that you start to recognize, I am indeed a spiritual being. And so you notice that lightness, that spiritual nature, awareness, and a desire, and you notice that desire. So this is step 2, is to start to notice, where am I? And it's kind of like, we're still carrying over it's like a smooth process, but so it's not chopped up really, but to kind of get a sense of, we're setting ourselves up for an intelligent journey. Okay. First of all, know, who am I? I am a spiritual being. Next, I want to know, okay, the spiritual being has desire. That desire means direction. So now I have to kind of peer out there and, so from who I am, where do I want to go? What is my desire? My desire is peace. My desire is love. My desire is harmony. For the moment, just to access that from being, okay? To notice that at the core of being, this is simply actually true. It's my identity. How do I know? Because it's my desire. It feels good. feels good to get in tune with my desire. You could try it out the other way if you really needed to prove it to yourself, but try it if you need to. I wouldn't do it because I don't, it sounds unpleasant. So why would I do it? But if you need it, if you're doubtful and you want to prove it to yourself, you could do the opposite and think about all the stuff that you don't want, and then see how you feel, and you'll get pretty good feedback. You'll feel pretty bad. So, but then the good news is you can reverse that. So, step one, recognize that you are formless awareness and that you are a spiritual being and that you have desire and that this desire is good. It's not the material outcome. We're not concerned about that. Those visions will come to you, but here we're not concerned about that. We don't fight them, but we allow them. The visions come, yes, fine, but those visions are limitations. The bigger vision is a vision that arises from the core, from who you are, and shines forth. And so you want to simply allow that really to shine forth, that sense of the lightness of being, that is a desire fulfilled, a desire that is good, a desire to intimately know the fulfillment, at least a little tiny bit right now, in that lightness of being, of what you desire: peace, harmony, joy, ease, health, happiness. So you sense that, and then you boldly and unreasonably imagine that truth of who you are expressing in and as and through your life, your body, your emotions, your relationships, your thoughts, your intentions, your circumstances, anything and everything. You have to just allow that, because you start to see through this. That's when the limitations start to come. You start to get the thought and the image and the memory that is like, not then, not there, not this, not that. I can't, won't, too hard, too whatever. All the reasons why not. And you say it's impossible. So I got to get realistic. Yeah, but you instead of denying it or fighting it or arguing with it or running away, or any of the various strategies that we've employed out of habit, instead you just open to it and continue to shine forth this knowing of the truth of who you are, and the truth of who you are expressed. Because what you actually desire, the shortcut is go directly to the source of it, where it's already fulfilled, and then however that shows up will be perfect, rather than it being, oh, it's got to show up, I've got to see it before I'll believe it. No, you've got to believe it before you'll see it. And then when you truly believe it, because you truly know it, because you truly experience it, because you're opening to it, you're allowing it, and you're just following the 3 simple steps, then you start to discover, oh, it's when I really am believing it, then I start to see it, because it is a self-fulfilling prophecy. So you have to start when, now, where you are now, and apply the 3 simple steps. As I often say, don't belabor them. Let it be light, let it be simple, just a few minutes. Ideally, you repeat the sequence three times in a row, and then just trust and let it be. And you come back to that anytime you need. It should start to, you can commit to doing it at least twice a day. You pair it with something that you're already doing, brushing your teeth, for example. You probably brush your teeth twice a day, maybe pair it with meals because you eat 2 or 3 times a day. Maybe find something you pair it with that you're already doing. Then it starts to become part of your routine, and you will get the benefits of it. Because remember, you can't get the benefits if you don't take the steps. Just thinking about it won't work. You have to be willing to take those steps, because the steps are the journey. right? The journey is not just imagining it. It's not just planning it. It's not just getting the tickets and the, reservations. You got to actually do it. You got to take the steps, and that's when it becomes real. Oh, so I've got another thing that I've notified you about in the last week. So I've got to go. I'm a little bit late for it, but I just want to finish with one more thing, which is also to remember this, because this is important, that you got to take the steps, but you also have to repeat the essential steps, because they keep working, right? Where you take a step, you get clear on a direction, and you take the steps, but you also want to be receiving the feedback and navigating skillfully, right? Because you're getting feedback every moment, you don't want to tune it out. You want to know, I am safe, I am capable, I am formless awareness, I am fearless, and I can't be harmed. I can receive everything. I can allow this experience, and this experience is good because it is my creation, and it is giving me feedback, and I can navigate. So you want to just gently, lightly continue with the process, but that doesn't mean you have to be doing the inquiry actively, the 3 steps all day long. It just means at least a couple of times a day. And then when that becomes really, a new habit, then you start to apply it in new ways. Then you start to apply it with different triggers. So you say, okay, every time I have, I feel frustrated, or whatever feeling you deal with most of the time, whenever I feel that, I simply do the 3-step process sincerely. That's all, without expectation, but I just apply it sincerely, because that's what I do now. But once that's established, then it starts to really work for you, because it's helping you. It's a skillful means by which to navigate this life, so that you can achieve your goals and succeed in the purpose of your life, because this is for you. You are choosing this. So you want to choose it consciously, choose it wisely, choose it from the truth of who you are, and trust and know that it's good. So thank you, everybody, for joining. And remember that Monday, we're going to be starting the new program, the 12-week program, the Journey Principles. So there won't be, at least for 12 weeks, there won't be public meetings on Monday. If you don't know about that program and you're interested, you can email me. But anyways, just want to make sure everybody knows about that Monday we'll be meeting in the Journey Principles, but there obviously won't be a public meeting because at the same time. And other meetings are as usual throughout the week. Okay, so that's the only scheduling change. So thank you, everybody. Blessings to you all, and I'll see you next time. And have a beautiful weekend. Okay, bye for now.